We're talking today about 6 destructive problems of the Great Awakening. What the heck is the Great Awakening? You've probably heard this term before. It's being used a lot on YouTube. The Great Awakening is basically this time in history that the Earth's vibration is rising high, and it's really creating a kind of like a fire under every human's butt to awaken, to realize their true nature, their true energetic and spiritual nature. And it's happening at a rapid rate. And so that's why it's called the Great Awakening. However, things can get a little wonky when we go through this time. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, these 6 destructive problems and how we can navigate ourselves through them in a positive way that really encourages our embodied ascension rather than kind of just snuff it and just destroy us and just kind of make us feel really awful. So stay tuned. Rebecca aBraxas. I love helping people remember their greatness. So today, dive in deep so we can rise high. All right, let's get started. So number 1, good versus bad. This is a destructive force because we start to pin against each other, right? We're not an allowance of each other's choices and experiences. If something is good, then and other people aren't on that side, then they must be bad. Another way that good and bad is showing up is in the spiritual or New Age world of evil forces. That's not really what's happening, at least in my awareness. All right. When there is a good-bad situation, really what's happening is someone's forgetting their authentic nature. So we have our authentic nature, our spiritual essence, and then there's stories and trauma and drama and points of view and programming that densify and kind of cloud our remembering of our authentic nature. And what happens from there is that's when we start to see strange behavior that might be judged as bad. It's not a bad, it's just let's just remove the denser frequencies so the authentic self can emerge. The destructive nature of this good-bad kind of paradigm is that things that are happening on the planet when people are really claiming their voice, say with political issues or racism, we have activism. But this is activism done unconsciously. What we really need to encourage people to do is find their consciousness, find their voice of their authentic self and claim their voice. Activism from a conscious perspective, spiritual activism. I did a video on this several months ago. It's really important that what we feel a pull to do, we have a pull to have a sense of purpose and have a voice around. Make sure you're doing it from spiritual activism and not from the good-bad paradigm. So number 2 is increased polarity. This is what we can see from number 1. So there is a pole, right, of polarity, and there's this part and there's this part. There's this perspective and there's this perspective, and it's a teeter-totter. One can't even cancel each other out. When you have too much of people aligning with this point of view and people aligning with this point of view, it just keeps teetering and tottering, and they don't cancel each other out. Increased polarity when you defend for or against something, when you're resisting something. This increases the polarity. So what's a more efficient way of working this time in history is opening your allowance, growing your allowance for people's points of view, for their ways of doing things, for their choices and their experience. Now, as I said in a few videos ago, being an allowance doesn't mean that you're a doormat. You are allowed to have a point of view like, this doesn't work for me. And it's a different energy having this doesn't work for me than, the polarity of right and wrong, good and bad. So growing our allowance and being an allowance of what's happening on the planet and knowing that this is an evolution. may really help us get out of this increased polarity that's happening on the planet so that we can have more ease and really find this ascension energy and embody it into our everyday. Okay, number 3 is breaking down old systems. Yes, the Great Awakening is starting to just break down every system. You're seeing it in politics. We're seeing it in the school systems. We're seeing it in racism. We're seeing it in how people do business. We're seeing it in the work field. We're seeing it in spiritual systems, and we're seeing it in energetic systems. What did I put down here? Hard but important to break down these systems, because systems are put in place to manage a large group, right? A large energies. But also in the systems, we start to rely on them. We start to doubt ourselves, and we start to put our power into the system and to the people running the system. So as the systems break down, there is a wobble. There is a, whoa, what do we do now? How do we survive? What do we do? I really encourage that we break down these systems and we build something new and evolved. Now, what's trying to happen is that systems are breaking down, and we're trying to rebuild them in the same way. And that is just not going to work in this time, especially these new beings that are coming in, these new generations. They don't want these systems this way. So we have to really allow these systems to break down, which is going to create unease for us. And we have to trust our own creative forces and the creative forces of these new generations to create a whole new paradigm of systems. So a lot of trust we are requiring right now. So number 4 is people newly waking up. This is happening. This is the Great Awakening. People are waking up to their greatest power, to their authentic self, to their spiritual, energetic nature. It is a really exciting time. However, there's something that's starting to happen, and this is that guru complex. The ego is starting to really flare. That wounded ego, as you start to awaken, is going to come full force and try to really be in there with you in your awakening journey. The ego flare is causing kind of this guru complex of like teachers and programs, as that there's a right and wrong way, that there is good and bad, that there is evil. So be careful of the messaging that you are putting yourself in front of. Any teacher, program, system that doesn't encourage you to know what you know, that doesn't empower you to go by your own knowing, I personally would say to walk away from. You really want to have people in your life, guides, facilitators, coaches. We all at times need that upliftment. We all at times need that new information. So yes, go there, but be aware of who you're getting that information with and who you're working with. And if you ever feel that someone's in their kind of their ego and saying right and wrong and pumping up themselves, it's this guru complex that's happening. It's just someone kind of newly waking up and hasn't really worked through a lot of their those wounded egoic natures. And it's not good or bad, it's just they're going to have an agenda that isn't empowering you to know what you know. So just be aware of that and see what you want to do with that. All right, so and always trust your own knowing. And perhaps you want to be studying with someone that has an ego flare because you're getting something out of it. Maybe your ego's learning something from it. Whatever it is, just make sure that you are aware that this is happening and that you trust your own knowing. Okay, so number 5, the collective cloud. The collective cloud is huge. Think of the cloud, the technology cloud, right? Think of that. That's kind of what's happening with our collective energy. All the 3D stories and drama and trauma, and everyone's that kind of locked into that 3D reality. That collective cloud is really big right now. So it's just good to be aware of. And it can affect us energetically and our vibrations. So I like this analogy. Think of the airplane kind of going up and it goes into the clouds, right? And we're like, wow, it's so cloudy and dark. And then all of a sudden we go up a little higher and oh my gosh, the light changes. It's beautiful again. We are above the cloud. We raised ourselves up. So think of yourself raising your vibration above this collective cloud so that you can be aware of it, okay? Be aware of it, but not to be the effect of it. And so that's going to happen with raising our vibration. Go above the cloud. Raising your vibration. How do we do that? Tune in every morning. Meditate with your authentic ascended self. Go for walks in nature. Take care of your body temple. Be around animals that light you up. Be around people that you feel lightest around. Sing out. Even if you're not a singer, just allow your voice to come through. These are ways to increase our vibration and get above that collective cloud. All right, number 6, expectations of false ascension. This is really alive now. There's many religions and structures and calendars that are telling us about this ascension process, this a great awakening, and this is how it's supposed to show up, and this is the year it's supposed to show up. Really, this is helpful to a point that we know that something is happening, that we're not crazy, that things are expanding. Life is very exciting right now on planet Earth. However, these structures of religions and structures and calendars are kind of holding us back. They're telling us, again, how it should be. They're kind of telling us how it's going to be instead of us trusting our own knowing around this ascension process. And if you think about it, a lot of the calendars and structures and religions, they found out about this energy a long time ago. And so it could be a wobble. It could be they had a part of it, right? And right now we are able to expand our awareness, expand our own knowing. So what do you know about ascension? Now, back in the day, it was that we didn't know that we would be ascending into these bodies, right? A lot of religions say we are going to be ascending and we're just going to leave the planet and ascend right off the planet. That's actually not happening anymore. What's happening is that we are, the Earth and humans have worked together, and the galactic energies and all the energies, I don't even know what's going on out there, but something has shifted that instead of leaving the planet with ascension, we actually are going to take that ascension energy and embody it into these human bodies. Hence, it can be a little jolting to our physical bodies. We may have to eat differently. We may have to have different lifestyles. We may have to really take care of our bodies, honestly, to allow this higher frequency in. But it is exciting. So don't let the expectations of these false ascensions get in your way anymore. These are things that were prophesized. These were calendars that were used, and you are going to have your very own ascension process, and you will ascend into your body, or you may think that I don't want to be in this body. I want to ascend and just be in the all. That's okay too. There's no right or wrong way with this, but there is now a possibility to take ascension energy into the body. What do you know about that? So thanks so much for tuning into this video. I think it's a really important video, so please share it with folks that are really craving this information. So 6 destructive problems of the great awakening. And I'm so curious if you wouldn't mind putting in the comments, what do you know about this? And perhaps there's another one you would like to add to this list. So, as always, I'd love to have you in the High Vibe Tribe. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell, and let's get this content out there. And with your help and subscription and sharing it with others, I can do that. And what that does is when I get subscribers and people really watching the content and sharing it, I get into the YouTube algorithm, and then more people will see the thumbnail and be attracted to the information. And so with your help, we can get this information out there more. Because I think a lot of people are awakening, right? There's a lot of newly awakened people that this information may really help them on their journey to have a little bit more ease. Because honestly, the awakening process can be a little bumpy. And it's nice to have support with information, with a tribe, with like-minded people. So have a beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.